Good evening. This is Blue Collar Piper, coming at you with a little bit of random ramblings. Man, I can't pronounce that. Save my soul. This is my evil Fulton mirror. As it focuses, bam. All evil and twisted looking. Full of Boswell's Berry Collar. And good stuff, by the way. Berry Collar's tasty. And having a cup of coffee. Now, so I started working on the pipes today, and as I was working on them, I remembered when I first started making these little pipe heads out of clay. The whole reason that I started using the tenon side of the junction on the bowl instead of on the stem, and the mortise, using the bullet casing as a mortise instead of the other way around, so it's kind of opposite of what normal briar pipes are, was because the mortise and the clay that forms the mortise, if I were to make it on the bowl, is exceedingly fragile because clay handles compression far better than it handles expansion or being pushed outwards, and they're really fragile. And I had one of the other ones break on me, so that it wasn't a complete loss, I basically created a whole entire jacket of good old JB Weld, probably about a half an inch or so up the stummel of the pipe, and then permanently affixed the stem to it, so it's now one solid piece. Well, it will be once it all cures up. So there's that. Plain Smoke Bear sent me a comment stating that clays weren't for him, but if you ever got in the market, hit me up for one. Well, that brings on a little story. About 9 months ago, I picked up the pipe. Now, previous to that, I had received 2 briar pipes and a corn cob. The 2 briar pipes came from my dad. Both of them were Dr. Grabos, which, by the way, I still have. One of them was this. If I can get it out of the rack. This Omega. And it was dog chewed, but it was a smokable one. But the same dog that got a hold of that one also got a hold of the other Dr. Garbo and left it without a stem. This Dr. Garbo Real Duke Bulldog minus a stem. I still have it. And then I also received from my father-in-law, who's now no longer with us, this old Legend, which I have smoked the crap out of. Now, me being a noob, especially at that time, not that I'm by any means an expert now, not even close, but I was smoking the briars about twice a day, well, the one briar, and I was smoking the cob about 5 or 6 times a day. Needless to say, it got a little funky a few times, and it colored really fast. Also noticed that that's when it first started developing its first little sidewall cracks under real heavy use. And So when I decided I needed to do something, but at the time I didn't have a penny hardly to rub. I barely had enough to buy a pouch of Sir Walter Riley regular because it was like less than $2 at that time. I was actually smoking, was it Red Cap whiskey? You can get Red Cap around here for $1.99 for 1 ounce. This stuff is awful. Well, it's not good, but it was smokable. And yes, it's actual real pipe tobacco, but it's old school, really old school, and it's only around in Kentucky. But anyways, that aside, previous to me picking up the pipe, I was making homemade hookah bowls, which I have a couple of homemade hookah bowls. In particular, I was making homemade ajami bowls, which were used for smoking jarak in a regular hookah. But that's another story. And I got to thinking, why can't I make a clay pipe? Well, at the time, I was going down to this little creek that's about, probably about 10 blocks from here. Across it, up this, like, 50-foot plateau side, and there's an overhanging rock. Well, the water that runs off the top of that rock from that plateau runs down, and right underneath that rock is clay. So I was using that clay. Very low fire. Could never get it to completely vitrify, but I was able to successfully make a very remedial looking pipe. I fired it the same way I did the bowls. This stuff was brittle as crap. But from there, I started doing some research, and looking at pictures, and that's all what led up to what I do now, for making these primitive pipes. So, the point of the story is, I'd love to tell you that I like making these pipes because I don't want clays to die. Clays have been around for hundreds of years. They're going to keep being around. Despite the popularity of briars, mirrors, which is nothing more than a fancy clay, and corn cobs. Clays will still be around. But despite, I'd love to tell you that's why I wanted to keep it alive. I wish my reasons were that altruistic, but they weren't. I'd love to tell you that I started making these clay pipes as an outlet, wholeheartedly as an outlet for creativity, which to some degree it actually is, but that's not the reason I started making them. They're primitive. I use whatever I got at hand to make them. The bottom line is, necessity is the mother of all inventions. I needed a pipe I could smoke a crap load out of. Wouldn't worry about if they broke, because I could always make another one that smoked at least good enough. And they just sort of took off. And I always had a thing for do-it-yourself type stuff. Always had a thing about doing primitive stuff. So it sort of turned into something I did out of necessity, to something I actually found out I really, really enjoyed doing. And that's it in a nutshell. Well, I better get up here. Oh, my screen's flashing. Oh well, I done took up enough of your time. I hope you guys have an awesome evening. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, have a good one.